Hi guys, and welcome to another session of Honest Talk About Women, where you'll learn tips, tricks, and strategies on how to navigate the minefields of dating and relationships. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and also comment in the comment section. It all helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you have a story you want to share with viewers, you can contact me on my email address listed below. So today's session, guys, will be on a news article that was sent to me by Google. Google reviews your browsing history and they send you articles that they think you may be interested in. And one article caught my eye. It states, headline is, "Why are there no date-worthy men in New Zealand?" Well, I could equally say that the same for women. Why is there no date-worthy woman in New Zealand? And it has a series of women commenting about the lack of quality men. And there's one lady talks about how the only dates that she's ever been on, they were criminals, they were cheaters, they were ghosters, fish and dick pictures, which is a terminology, if you're not familiar with that, is that in dating apps, apparently this woman uses dating apps, guys hold up pictures of fish, which to me is a big no-no. I used to love fishing when I was a young kid, but it's not professional for a dating app, but they hold up pictures of the fish they've caught, and then once they start texting to a lady, they start to send pictures of their dick. So that's totally unprofessional, guys. I wouldn't do that at all. So she's got a point there, but I don't think this woman's screening people properly, because if she's attracting all the lower end of the barrel people, then she may be looking for bad boys or whatever. But usually you screen people, and you look at the profile and then you back it up with a very quick telephone conversation with the person, and you can work it out within 2 to 3 minutes how educated the person is, usually, not all the time, but usually, how they answer your questions on a phone call once you've exchanged phone numbers. So I think that woman's dealing with a very bottom end of the market, and that's why she's got those sort of comments. And then they talk about a person that's developed a new dating app in New Zealand, and it costs $6,000, and they've had to halve the price for men because there's a lack of males signing up for the service. Well, at $6,000 a year, I can assure you, most guys are flat out working and they don't have a spare $6,000 in the bottom drawer to pay for a $6,000 dating app. So, best of luck with her and her business model for that lady that started that. But I don't know how popular that would be at a entrance fee of $6,000, which has now been reduced down to $3,000 because of the lack of males signing up. And then they talk about the imbalance of men to women in New Zealand, and they reel off the figures. But if you go to Wikipedia, if you look at the top dozen or so countries, and you look at the imbalances of men to women, so take, for example, Hong Kong at number 2, there's in the total column, there's 0.86 of a man to one full woman. So that's one end of the spectrum. And then at the other end of the spectrum, there are countries where there are more males than females. So take Qatar, for example, there's 3.39 males for every one female. So there's 9 or so countries that have an imbalance at the other end. So if you look at the countries that I'm familiar with, so the United States has a imbalance of women to men. What this is saying is that for every 0.97 of a man, there's one female. Canada, Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom, they're pretty much 1 for 1. And then you look at the Pass-Bro countries in Asia, Thailand, 0.96, meaning there is more women than guys in Thailand, and then Philippines is slightly the other way around. And then if you look at China, I thought was an interesting statistic. If you look at China, there's 1.06 men to every female. So in a large country like China, 1.4 billion people, you're looking at, from these statistics, 80 to 90 million more men than females. But some of the data that comes out of China, I don't know how accurate that is. I don't know how accurate they can do their stats with such a large population and a lot of people in rural areas that aren't that educated and don't know how to fill out forms. So that leads back to the communist days of the 1960s with Mao Zedong trying to control the population and having a one-child policy and the preference for boys over girls. So a lot of women aborted their babies if it was a girl and kept trying until they got a boy, which is just horrible, terrible thinking, absolutely terrible. So if there's one country in the world that has a massive imbalance, and it's a big country, it's China. And that's because of the government policy way back. Anyway, getting back to the article, why are there no date-worthy men in New Zealand? Let's go through this article. So they talk about the population imbalance, and then they talk about men switch to sex too soon. Well, that's what's on most guys' minds, and that's how they're wired up, and that's a large part of most guys. But it's too early to talk about it on the first date. I agree with that. Some just want instant gratification. You only just start chatting, and then they launch into it and send a pic, and it's comical. So I think this lady's talking about a dick pic. So before they've even met, he is sending a dick pic to a picture of his penis to the lady he's trying to date, which to me is completely unprofessional. You don't even go down that track doing that. That's not on. So I agree on that front, but I would say it's not large scale. I can tell you that. I assure you it's not large scale. Most guys don't do that. Many don't know how to showcase themselves or be sociable. Well, I'd say it's 50-50. I've done a video on women's dating apps, and a lot of them don't know how to market themselves either. Men don't know how to present themselves or say much in their profile, and they don't know how to interact more than one-word answers. Well, that's guys. Guys are quite simple, and they don't write volumes and volumes of information about themselves, and it is what it is. So you got to accept what guys are. But yeah, they could market themselves a bit better, and I can say that for females too. Another comment by a lady in this article says, many don't know how to date. I expect them to organise something. It doesn't have to be lunch at a fancy restaurant. It can be quite simple. But I also expect the guy to pay, which is my policy. First date, don't do dinner, complete waste of time. No more than $20, coffee, green tea, glass of wine, beer if she drinks, and then some exercise before. When I say exercise, it's a walk. I'm not talking about physical exercise in terms of being in bed. It's just a walk, see what her fitness levels are. So that lady's got a point there. And then there's another lady that mentions about you have to weed through a lot before you have to weed through a lot of shit. I wouldn't have used the word shit. I would have said you would have had to have weed through a lot. It's a numbers game, correct. You grow wiser and savvier as you progress, correct. You have to be confident and not take things personally, correct. I've previously got ghosted and it got me upset, but now I think it did me a favour because it wouldn't have been for me. So she's learned from her experiences, so correct there. Another lady talks about someone turning up with an ankle bracelet. Another was a drug dealer. Another was an alcoholic. A few with protection orders. Again, I don't think this woman's screening people properly if she's dealing with the bottom of the barrel. I don't think that's a large percentage of the population that are like that. If anything, people are not drinking as much as they used to in the old days. And they've done that scientifically by studying, doing tests on the water supply that comes out of houses, the wastewater, and alcohol consumption is way down on what it was 30 years ago. So I think this lady's dealing with the bottom end of the barrel. Then it talks about some lady that organised a singles night for 400 people, and they couldn't attract many males to come along. First I've heard of singles nights. I thought those sort of events were long gone, but they still exist. Okay. Kiwi men need encouragement. They don't know how to approach women. Some are gun shy. Bit of truth there. Some guys are shy. And same as women. It's equal. And then